Proverbs chapter 16, verse 9 tells us this, says, the mind of a man plans his ways, but the Lord directs his steps. So the mind of a man directs his ways. And so when you begin to look at that, we talked about that a little bit more last week. The mind of a man, when he plans his ways, he's planning out his own ways. He's planning out his own path. You know, if he's unrighteous, God's going to allow him to continue to go down that unrighteous path, but that unrighteous path is going to lead to destruction. And so he's going to recognize that. He's going to learn that. It might be too late when he learns that. And all of the pain and all of the heartache of life is amounted to destruction within his life. And, we need to pray that they'll find the right path before it is everlasting too late for them. But as the mind of a man plans his ways, if he's a righteous man, if he's a man that's truly seeking after God, that's truly pursuing God, righteous people, they'll have the tendency to veer off the path from time to time as he's planning his ways, he's planning his direction, he's planning his life. Even righteous people have a tendency to stray off of God's righteous path from time to time and say, you know what, I think I'm going to do this, or I think I'm going to do that. We're not staying on that straight and narrow path that God so desires for us to stay on. But the amazing thing is that God will open doors that no man will open, but he'll also shut doors. Or he'll open doors that no man can close, but he'll also shut doors that no man can open. And so sometimes when that righteous man, he's veering off that path, but God's shutting doors. He can't get off that path because God keeps shutting those doors. He wants to go to the right, but God shut the door to the right. He wants to go to the left, but God shut the door to the left. He can't go that way. And, but he's truly a righteous man. His heart's truly to seek God. I'm not talking about the wicked person. That God's going to let that wicked person just wander off into destruction. But the righteous person, the one that is truly seeking God, the one that is truly desiring to honor God, God's going to shut those doors. And as God shuts those doors, and those doors just keep getting slammed shut, God keeps directing that path. Sometimes it can get a little frustrating sometimes. Say, well, I want to go this way, or I want to go that way, but those doors keep getting shut. We need to just view that and say, you know what, this is God's direction for my life. This is God's plan for my life. God obviously didn't want me to walk through that door. Otherwise, God would have opened that door, because my heart is to truly serve God and to seek God and to live for God. And if my heart is truly to serve God and seek God and live for God, those doors aren't open for me. And God is the one who opens my doors, and God is the one who shuts my doors. Therefore, there's a reason why I can't walk through that door right now. God's not allowing me to do that. And as a servant of God, sometimes we want to rebel against that service of God. Just like Jonah. Right? God said, Jonah, go on down there to Nineveh, preach the gospel. And God said, no. Jonah said, no, I'm not going to do that. Well, guess what? Jonah ended up doing it. We know the story. We know what happened. Because God is going to direct that path. Right? And so when we look at that, it says, the mind of a man plans his ways. Jonah said, no, I'm not going to Nineveh. I'm getting on this ship. God said, oh, you just wait and see. You just wait and see, because this is where I want you to be. And if this is where I want you to be, this is where you're going to be. And so the Lord directs his steps. So God worked it out to where he went. Now we need to live in obedience to God. And if we're living in obedience to God, God says, this is the way I want you to go, then that's the way I want you to go. And when our heart is truly seeking God, God is going to direct those steps. God is going to point us down that path that he wants us to go, right? And so it's just like the Apostle Paul. The Apostle Paul had plans to go one way, and then he sees a vision of a man telling him to come on down to Macedonia, and he says, okay. That's what I'm going to do. I want to do what God wants me to do. I planned on going over here, but God wants me to go over here. He sent me a vision, man, telling me to come down here to Macedonia, and so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to follow God's way. I'm going to follow God's path. I'm going to follow God's steps. Now, maybe that won't be quite as obvious to you, but remember, God will shut those doors that He doesn't want you to walk through, and God will open those doors that He wants you to walk through. But our heart needs to be to pursue the plans of God. And so, as our plans, it says the mind of man plans his ways, man's plans, our plans, they need to be God's plans. And when we don't exactly know what those plans are, we just walk by faith in pursuit of Jesus Christ, and He'll send us down the path that He so desires for us to follow.